Welcome to this week's episode of Beyond Barriers, Habits, and Hacks. This week, we are going to continue talking about clarity and share with you our stories on how we gain clarity throughout our career. So, Nikki, let's start with you and let's share with our audience your journey on how you gained clarity and how you identified what you were passionate about.
Well, I guess my first clue was my second grade report card that had my scores, but more importantly, had a big, bold remark about how much I talked in class.
Okay.
So it's something I've heard all along about my communication skills. I like to call it self-expression, but I have a deep love of communication, of writing and speaking and connecting. And it is the thing that I love doing. It's what I would do even if I made no money at it. You know, it truly has always been a passion of mine and has over time become a profession.
So how did you identify your unique skills that differentiate you?
So in terms of figuring out my unique skill, it was an interesting process for me because I was always equal parts sort of creative as well as analytical. And I didn't quite know where my unique competency fit in because I was not 100% a creative. I love math, but I didn't want to be just doing something analytical because I was pretty creative as well. And where I was finally able to identify that unique skill was in pattern recognition. I realized that I was really good at seeing the big picture, being able to connect the dots and predict patterns. And that, I guess you could call it visioning skills.
Right.
But I did not know that at first because it was so effortless to me that I did not give it enough value. I thought, well, it's so easy for me to do that. Surely this can be something anyone cares about. In the early stage of my career, I actually tried really hard to fit into a box, trying to, define myself much more narrowly until I realized that the very competency that makes me most valued is the thing that comes effortlessly to me. And that is my ability to really predict the future and be able to see, have a vision of the future.
So you mentioned that you identified that the competence you had was the most highly valued. Yeah. How did you discover, or how did you put two and two together? Like, oh, this is really valued, so I need to really let people know that I have this skill.
Yeah, well, the way I discovered that was really on the job. When I found that because everyone and every business is trying to adapt to change, one of the biggest things you need is to be able to understand exactly what change is likely to happen. And my ability to see the future, to envision the future, to predict that change, and then help people and businesses adapt to it became the core of my skill as an innovation expert. And that's when I discovered that when I combine my passion of communication and with my unique skill of being able to see the future, being able to not only see that vision, but then be able to express that to people, really became the foundation of my career in strategy and innovation. And I discovered that on the job by being able to bring that unique value to the table on the teams. And as a result of that, became an expert in that space. And over time, continuing to do that over a long period of time, then made me highly valued in the marketplace.
So after you identified that and you were able to put your passion together, your skills together, and kind of know that they were really highly valued in the market, how did you start focusing on what you wanted to be known for?
So I built my career and my reputation as an innovation expert, but I realized that the real challenge in innovation today isn't just about envisioning the future and coming up with solutions for it. It's about knowing the change that's coming and being able to adapt quickly. And it's a lot like what Charles Darwin talked about, where it was, in change is constant. And the only species that survive are the ones that adapt to that change. It's the survival of the fittest. Well, I realized that it's no longer about the survival of the fittest, it's survival of the fastest, because change is happening so fast that if you don't get ahead of that, you're going to get left behind. And what I realized I wanted to focus on and what I wanted to be known for is to help people and organizations not only predict the change and adapt to it, but adapt to it fast. And so I really think of myself as Darwin of the digital age, being able to not only help people see the change that's coming, but adapt to it very quickly.
So as Darwin is the digital age, how do you accelerate what you want to be known for? How do you get people to understand what you have to offer and helping them accelerate?
In order to accelerate what I want to be known for, it's really about finding the biggest platform and reaching the most people. And so my passion came in handy here about communication. So being able to speak to large audiences, being able to write, author books, being able to connect with people that are struggling with the change and helping them find the solution. That really, what I discovered, what accelerated the opportunities for me was to find the biggest platforms and the largest audiences to be able to do that.
Right. So casting the broadest net and sharing your message.
Yes.
So your journey really entailed you identifying that passion of yours for communication and leveraging that skill set of vision that you have of being able to forecast, and then taking that and helping companies and people innovate. And then ultimately then, cascading that message as broadly as possible in various formats of communication, whether it was written, spoken, or just, blasted on all kinds of media.
Yeah, and that's really what helped me gain clarity and become known as Darwin of the digital age. So Monica, let's talk about you now. Share with us your journey of gaining clarity, and let's start with, how did you discover your passion?
So my journey, it probably started similar to yours at a very young age of really understanding that I loved all kinds of puzzles and trying to solve all kinds of problems or trying to fix things. I was the one who was always, just trying to take things apart and put them back together. Or if something was broken, like, how could I fix it? Or maybe if I broke it, how can I fix it? But then there was a lot of just creativity in that I wanted to discover. And so just puzzles and problems and hacks, I was always really passionate about those things. And yeah, I was from a really young age, as young as I can remember.
So then how did you discover what your unique skill is?
It probably came out of that problem solving. A lot of the times I was, if someone would say, oh, here's this problem and you have to solve it this certain way, I was always trying to think about other ways, like creative ways to maybe solve it. And a lot of the times it wasn't because I was trying to go against the grain or whatnot, but maybe I just didn't have the resources or the tools that you needed to solve that problem in a certain way. And I, quickly learned how to be extremely resourceful. Reminds me, even, at a young age, one of my favorite shows was MacGyver. And I always marveled on how, he could take a candlestick, a needle, and a rubber band and figure out how to get out of a, sticky situation or figure out how to fix something. I was very resourceful in that way. So I learned really quickly that my creativity and resourcefulness was actually a skill that I could use in order to, be successful.
All you need is a paperclip.
That's right. All I need is a paperclip. Yes.
Awesome. Well, so how did you then discover what your unique skill is that's most valued in the marketplace? Because your passion for puzzles and problem solving, and then your unique skill in being very creative and resourceful, how do you then get to the next stage of figuring out what is it that's most valued?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think it was, in some of the various different jobs that I held, even as early as college and some of my work study jobs, and even in some of the external curricular kind of organizations I was in, I realized that the value of being creative and resourceful, and then wanting to solve problems and being able to solve something with only what you had was actually something that people valued a lot, because I would see some people kind of giving up, whether it was some sort of, hey, here's this, this problem, or here's this opportunity, but people, saying, oh, well, I don't have this and I don't have that, or I need to get this and that before, I can attempt it. I was always thinking about, okay, what do I have in front of me that I can use to kind of do that? So is that concept of pioneering or trying to solve something and just moving ahead with what you had, and being very kind of creative in adapting and just finding alternatives. And so I learned really quickly that was something that not a lot of people had, because of that, sometimes people needing A, B, and C, and not being able to think about, well, maybe you can use,
You can
X,
think
Y,
of
and
it
Z.
as a whole different way.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, and that's really so much of your career has been built on pioneering very unique programs, very unique solutions that hadn't been done before. And you made it happen with whatever you had, no matter what your resources were, no matter what the challenges or barriers were. You were not only able to solve that puzzle or that problem, but then do it in a really creative and resourceful way. And
Yes.
and actually be recognized for it, because that pioneering and unique problem solving approach is really what made you valuable.
Yes, exactly.
So that's amazing that you were able to beautifully combine your passions and your unique skills, and then find the thing that made you really valuable. How did you then decide what you wanted to be known for? How did that come about?
So who I want to be known for is really rooted in my experiences of being the underdog and always figuring a way, and then having that passion of wanting to help other underdogs figure out those, the way, and find opportunities. So taking those skill sets of creativity and resourcefulness, and really being able to pave a way for some of the other underdogs, and that transfer of knowledge of, hey, here's how I did it, or hey, let's figure out how you can do it. So quickly started, becoming the MacGyver for the marginalized, right? Taking all of those, taking what we have and figuring out how do you create the opportunity. So, it really is rooted in just fighting for the underdog.
That is fascinating. So MacGyver for the marginalized.
Yes.
So now how do you take that to the next level so that you are able to, accelerate what you want to be known for?
So that definitely is really identifying the largest platform and really being able to share that message and create opportunities for others to become aware of, how do you become resourceful and, creative, and how do you take with what you have? So really thinking about, what is the best way to cast the broadest net? And that is leveraging, media, podcasts, social media, just really taking that knowledge and that transfer of knowledge and gathering it and then sharing it to the masses.
That's amazing. So your journey to clarity really was about combining your passion for problem solving and puzzles with your unique skill of creativity and resourcefulness that made you a pioneer in the industry and made you really valuable in that space. But you connected that to your sense of purpose about fighting for the underdog and became the MacGyver of the marginalized.
Yes.
And now you're using the power of media to be able to, spread your message and transfer the knowledge and uplift communities and be able to create even more opportunities and accelerate success for more people.
Absolutely. You said it much more eloquently than I did. And there you have it. 2 unique stories of how we gained clarity in our careers. And we hope that you can leverage these habits and hacks and the 5 essential elements so that you can gain clarity in your career.
Thank you so much. See you next week.
Whether you're just getting started or hungry to get ahead, simply working hard is no longer enough to advance your career. You must keep learning new skills and adapt to a rapidly changing business landscape. If you're an ambitious woman who wants to dominate your career, then the Beyond Barriers Habits and Hacks show is for you. This show is co-hosted by Nikki, digital innovator, serial entrepreneur, author, and speaker, and Marquez, ex-Googler, diversity expert, and senior corporate leader. As thought leaders in innovation and inclusion, we bring unique insights on career success in the digital age. Learn how to develop the skill set, mindset, and tool set to accelerate your success, gain clarity, develop unstoppable confidence, anticipate and get ahead of change, master cutting-edge success strategies, and build a powerful professional network. Check out new episodes every Monday and turn TGIF into TGIM.